Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another GEG Delhi NCR session. This is, of course, our first session as a monthly session, the meetup sessions, learning session, but it's not really the first one because we've had 3 exciting days of January, all packed with action, a lot of interesting sessions, learning that we have had. It's been an amazing start. So, what am I referring to? I think if you've been watching us, if you've been with us, that is the GG is Google Educator Groups, and we are from Delhi NCR. And if you've been watching us, then we started 2022 with GEG APAC sessions. So I'm Sangeeta Gulati, leader GEG Delhi NCR, and with me I have Sanchita, co-leader and also the share captain of GEG Delhi NCR. So Sanchita, in brief, if you have to sum up as to how we started 7th through 9th of Jan, what do you have to tell people who have not watched us during those 3 days, have missed out the sessions? What do you have to share with them?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, first of all, good evening to all of the viewers who've just joined us or those who are going to be watching the recording later on. And hi to you as well, Sangeeta ma'am. And you were asking about my thoughts about those 3 action-packed days that we had in the first weekend of January. It's like doing your PhD in a weekend. So it was so much full of learning, and it was amazing because our presenters who came in and presented with us, they were amazing. Some of them were first timers, and you wouldn't even know that they were
Yeah.
presenting for the very first time. And these are passionate educators from across the country who came in and joined us. They brought in their passion right from their classroom, things that they've done with their students, and it was so much. Fun to not just watch and learn from the first timers, but we also had a lot of experienced people, some national awardees as well, who had joined in. For example, Rashmi Kathuria ma'am, who's a national ICT award winner, as well as Imran sir, who's the App Man of India, and and each name that one thinks of, Mukesh sir, also an ICT awardee. I think there was just so much happening. I couldn't keep up, and it took me the next 2 weeks to go back to some of the recordings of the sessions that I had missed. And and they're so full of ideas that you can take back immediately into your classroom. It's This is the weekend, so if you've missed some of the sessions, then haven't watched them, just go back into our playlist, and you will be able to see the January APAC videos. All of them have been archived and saved there. See what calls out to you. There were some very subject specific sessions as well. Some were more tool oriented, so if there was something that you've been wanting to learn, for example, Canva has been has really fired the imagination of people, but not everyone knows how to use Canva so well. So we had a session on Canva itself, and as I say, with Canva, it's your imagination which is the limit. You can do almost anything with Canva. So yeah, it
Right.
was super fun and super intense.
Right. We did cover a whole lot of tools and whole lot of ideas and all kind of experts and some beginners, as you said, joined us, and it made it a successful 3 days live sessions event for everyone. I'm also very excited about today's session. So today is a particularly special day and a special moment because I think as educators, we all would agree that each teacher perhaps finds their own success in the success of their students. So I think I would like to take this opportunity to bring up our guest of the evening and introduce to you one of my dearest student who I taught more than 20 years back. So she was a little girl at that time and she's still very tiny, but she's turned out to be an amazing, amazing person. And I'm very, very happy to have Medhavi Gandhi here, who's founder of the Heritage Lab. So it's just not the success, it's also to see that she chose a very unique field and has found great success, has made her passion her career, and is bringing such delightful information and possibilities to the world, which we are waiting to explore. So, welcome, Medhavi, to GEG Delhi NCR. It's really a pleasure and it's a privilege to have you here with us. And
Absolutely,
of
Sangeeta
course,
ma'am.
to
It's
formal information and formal introduction, I will not do. She's still my Medhavi, that little Medhavi. So, Sanchita will talk about who she is presently. Yes, over to you, Sanchita.
Yeah, Sangeeta ma'am, you said it's such a pleasure for you to be able to, host Medhavi today. And I wouldn't say the same as far as I'm concerned in terms of that I was never her teacher. But Medhavi and I have collaborated a couple of times, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with her, to learn from her, and just to see the world of heritage museums, which are, for me, were scary spaces when I was a kid, from a completely different perspective, looking at art from a completely different perspective. So, to tell you what Medhavi formally does is, she's the founder of a digital platform called the Heritage Lab, which explores India's museums, art, and cultural heritage, and tries to break down that whole barrier between what is very high culture and only a certain demographic of people would understand and appreciate, and really bringing it alive for everybody. So whether it is students, whether it is someone who's not really connected with heritage in a very formal way, or with museums in a formal way, bringing the museum into our homes, into our lives, and to see what our human journey has been, using some of these museum objects of paintings, of works of art, whether they were very high classical art, or whether they were just woodcuts, or artworks by anonymous people, but which resonated somewhere with people. So over the last 10 years, she's been working at this intersection of public engagement with what has been called as high art and high culture. And she works with school students, she works with teachers, to help students understand their past, to help teachers take in this knowledge that maybe very high level scholars have come up with, art critics have come up with, and to kind of make it simpler, break it down into a simpler format, so people can truly connect with art and our heritage, which really is the purpose of art in any case, to reach out, to touch your heart. And Medhavi also brings in a touch of humor into all of this. So if you've ever followed Medhavi on the Heritage Lab in particular on Twitter and Instagram, of course, she's there on Facebook as well. So just search the Heritage Lab. There's, of course, a very active website where there are a lot of scholarly articles as well. And I'm very proud to say some of my students have interned under Medhavi as well. So it really opens up this whole new world of um, of human heritage, and how we can, as an individual and as communities, interact with all of this. So this has been a longish introduction, but what Medhavi does has always excited me, and I'm sure many of you are going to get fired up after Medhavi's session today. So Medhavi, the stage is all yours. Take us through.
Thank you so much for having me, and Sangeeta ma'am, Sanchita ma'am. I'm really overwhelmed with the introduction itself. I have to say it's entirely my privilege because, like Sangeeta ma'am said, a teacher-student relationship is really special, and I mean, it's the teacher who shapes you first as a student, and what you've learned with her, around her, is what you want to give back eventually, and that really shapes you. And like Sanchita ma'am said, some of her students have been my interns, and I have to say, one of my favorite interns, actually. I mean, just the spark they have and the inspiration that they bring, even as people think, oh, intern, just volunteering, doing things, but no, they form such a crucial part of everything that we do. And so I really like how this mini ecosystem between us is shaped out, and today I'm here trying to take you through what we do, how to bring the Heritage Lab into the classroom. And before I begin, I just want to start with the concept of the Heritage Lab. Like the name suggests, the Heritage Lab, it's about engaging and more participatory initiatives that we try to explore with cultural heritage. Over the past few years, I've had the opportunity of learning a lot from my colleagues in Europe and sort of also identifying the different threads that link us. Of course, the world has been connected for centuries now, and museums, cultural institutions really hold treasures that tell us about these things. And a lot of times we wonder, as students, even I wondered when I was a student 20 years ago, I had no clue that I would be working around history, even though it was one of the subjects I really liked. One doesn't think that that's something that you were going to work with, because you're always thinking that it's something to do with the past. It's over. It's something you study to either get into the civil services or explore a future in the humanities, scholarship, doctorates and all. But one doesn't think that that's what shapes what we are part of today, what we are living through today, whether it's our food choices, our fashion choices, our political leanings. It's all sort of connected to what we have been through over the last few centuries. And that's why it's so essential to sort of recognize and engage with more actively, which is why the Heritage Lab, and we just thought that putting out all different resources for museums to try to see how we can connect them. So I'll dive right in, and I'll just over the last couple of years, also the world of digital has opened up, and we're also trying to see how digital intersects with the humanities. And digital humanities actually is a growing field, and we're really excited as the Heritage Lab to even see how which directions we sort of start to explore outside or inside classrooms as well. So just a brief overview of what we are looking at discussing today, what I'm here to share with you, exploring some resources on the Heritage Lab, and building digital conversations, including students, and shaping student voices on digital platforms such as the Heritage Lab. We're looking at open access resources that we have. We're looking at how creating memes and GIFs can also help classrooms. And we're showcasing, how we can use the platform to showcase certain student projects. And finally, Wikipedia in the classroom, and how Wikipedia really connects with a lot of projects that are conducted within the Heritage Lab also. Also because it has an idea of contributing, the community contributing towards building a pool of knowledge that is freely accessible to everybody, irrespective of language, geographical borders. So that's the whole ethos that we also try to work with. So let me begin with exploring the Heritage Lab resources. So everything to do with cultural heritage, whether it's history, art, there are a lot of different things within the website. Sometimes I acknowledge that it might be difficult to find, but we are working on it. It's a work in progress, and we're always trying to add new themes. But some of the more popular themes that educators have favored have been themes like colonial history, or freedom struggle, or even the contribution of Indians who shaped the nation. We also have some learning resources that are centered around museum objects. And we are, now that we're in this stage where we are partnering with different institutions, different museums of India, we're also looking at their objects. So I will take you through some of those also, and some activities and downloadable worksheets, etc., that are free for everyone to download, use, share, basically just use. So I'll take you right through here. So a lot of these articles are researched based on, based on material that has been created by scholars at the museum, by curators, looking at different resources, and also putting them all together. So for instance, I'm sorry, my internet is being a little slow, so it's loading a little slow. But there is, I'll take you through 2 or 3 of the resources just to give you an idea of the kind of resources that we are creating. So in cartoons, an introduction to Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first prime minister, is basically looking at Nehru through the lens of Shankar's cartoons. In the coming weeks, we will also have cartoons by R.K. Lakshman and eventually explore how we can use cartoons to study a particular time period. So that resource will also be available. I'm really sorry about this terrible internet connection, but looking at cartoons sort of not just shows us as to the lighter vein of what political events that were happening, but also the reactions that were being, the different events. So whether it is Nehru and the UN and the issue of China and Russia and the representation at the UN, so there are different kinds of subjects that are sort of brought together by Shankar at this point of time. I'm so sorry about the internet. I didn't expect this. Maybe we should just head back and see another resource that might be helpful and maybe load faster. Just give me a moment.
I think what's also interesting is that it, allows students to think more critically about the past as well. So I think that's really powerful, especially when we talk about cartoons, and there are so many hidden layers in cartoons, and whether you're a political science teacher or a history teacher, or even a language teacher, I think there's so much the students can be guided towards, asking and thinking and saying.
I'm so sorry about the internet, but maybe if we could just, Sanchita ma'am, may I request you to sort of look at the link and open it up so I can take everyone through it, maybe? Would that
Yeah, I
be,
could do that. This is which website you're using for now?
I'll just share the link with you in the chat.
Oh, yeah, yes, I'll just pop in. And I'll share my screen as well so that, yep. All
My
right.
apologies for that, everyone. But
Yeah, I
if
have pulled up
you,
my screen. Yeah, where would you like me to go from here?
right, just hit Soldier and Statesman, the one in the middle. So
Yeah.
this one is about a particular painting that is very popular, very well known. Interestingly, this is, it sort of features the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. An important document is being signed, and right in the center is an Indian in the, who's wearing a soldier costume. Who is he? He's the Maharaja of Bikaner, Maharaja Ganga Singh. So we decided to explore this particular topic, going deep into his depiction in the particular uniform, the painter's choice of placing him right in the center, just behind some of the most important men who were part of the signing of the treaty. I mean, he could have been on the side somewhere. Why is he right in the center? We're also, through this, if we keep scrolling down, we keep exploring what was Maharaja Ganga Singh's view towards nationalism. See, everybody had their own way of serving their country or their own idea of nationalism. For Maharaja Ganga Singh in particular, he looks at diplomacy as a strong tool. He decides to fight the wars, he decides to participate in the other wars that Britain is fighting, so as to create, and help build a sort of, contribute to the imperial conferences, to build what would in the future become UN. I mean, the League of Nations is what eventually led to the development of the UN, and how Maharaja Ganga Singh sort of created an entry point for Indians to be represented at a forum like that. How does diplomacy work today? So these are some of these different questions that we ask in the article, giving more paintings, more references, more pictures that can be used, going back into his background. Bikaner as a kingdom and its importance, the princely states, what was happening, what was the whole debate with the princely states, versus, Nehru and Gandhi and their ideas at that point in time. And if you scroll right till the end, Sanchita ma'am, we'll notice that for students over here, and for teachers, we have a bar called Classroom Connections. So that's where we'll notice some questions that you can further use in the classroom to drive more discussion. This is a longish article, so one can actually split it up, look at different maps, look at some more paintings of the Delhi Darbar, see how Maharaja Ganga Singh conducts himself at the Darbar as well. But right above that, Sanchita ma'am, a little above, if you just scroll up a little, yeah. So there's Classroom Connections. You just have to click that just a little below on the map. You'll just a little below, just this under this paragraph. You just go down a little, and yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, if you hit Classroom Connections, it opens up to some more connections and things that you can use in the classroom. The notes, of course, will give you more references and material that you can refer to further, go deeper into a particular topic. What we are now looking at is having students respond to these questions. Whether it is through art, whether it is through cartoons, and they can do that in the comment box, right? At the end, the comment box itself has been, placed in a way that it's this whole idea of the digital discourse. Today, when students or anybody notices people who are having these conversations about history and debating history online, very little reference to a more there is very little substantiated arguments, if I may say, that are hardly, there is more opinion based discussion that is happening. So what we want to encourage over here, start having students dialogue, create a dialogue where they are referring to a particular point, or they have the kind of evidence with which they put forth their view. And it's about starting a discussion, not a fire. So we want to create that discourse now online, and also sort of shape how students understand conversations online and how that shapes them. Sanchita ma'am, if we go back to just hit the back button and go back into the same category, history. We'll also probably look at just another article just for a little reference here. If we look at Jallianwala Bagh, the history and the legacy of the massacre in three artworks. Now, this is a contemporary piece of work, and this is one of the most, the Singh twins, who are based in the UK now, they create some of the most compelling works, strong statements, filled with strong statements. We have more of the works on the website which explore the connections between slave trade, fashion, slow fashion today, and the concept of fast fashion and trade in a world that is today. But if you look at these three works, they're based on that whole miniature style tradition. But even then, each work has these little details which forces you to think of the different events that are connected throughout history. So in these three panels, before we come to the Jallianwala Bagh in the center, on the left, there is what was happening, what was India's connection with Britain, how were Indians being treated. So just behind Bharat Mata, there are these two posters which show the Komagatu Maru incident, where how people of India were being treated, even as they were pledging their loyalty to Britain, even as they were fighting wars for Britain. What was their position like? There's India who's being stripped of her wealth, literally. There is the Maharaja Duleep Singh on the left, which is actually part of a missionary Christian brochure. How those kind of events that are eventually shaping to a sentiment around the Jallianwala Bagh. And that's the point which leads to freedom on the extreme right. Of course, when we get to that point, there's also Gandhi, there's also Udham Singh. Again, two different points of nationalism, two different views of nationalism completely. So looking at all of these artworks and the hints within, it's a good idea to have students create a work of art like this, which is filled with references, filled with readings that they have referred to, characters that they have seen, movies that they might have seen, posters, periodicals that they might have referred to. So that's an interesting inspiration, I would say. I mean, the Singh Twins' work is not just great reference, but it's inspiration for students to create a work that actually connects everywhere and is so rich with symbolism. So that's one of the works that we wanted to show you. These are different resources. Of course, some works such as this one, which is contemporary art, needs permission for reuse. So if you do plan to use it, I think we do specify when you can use everything for free and when you just need to write in a line. So those are really ways in which we've spread out our resources, whether they're art, whether they're history, whether how they connect really. Let me attempt to go back to the presentation. Sanjana, I'll
Yeah, I can stop sharing. Yeah, coming up. Medhavi, you're still on? Because from my end, your screen seems to have frozen.
Yeah, I can't hear her, so maybe she's going to join again, I think.
Yeah,
But I
but
was also intrigued with this website. I was also exploring alongside, and I think by the time Medhavi joins us back, I we can put up the website and start exploring together what's there. Right? I'm
yeah,
just going to
yeah,
share this. Uh, sh- are you going to put the screen up, or maybe you
yeah.
can
I'll
try?
just yeah, put my screen up.
It's amazing, when I started looking at the painting that Medhavi was referring to, it was amazing to see so much information in the background. And you look at a painting and you never realize the story that it is weaving together. So it's amazing, bringing it up again for the viewers to see. This is a website. We have put the link in the chat. So
Yeah.
by the
And
time Medhavi
there's so
tries to
much. I
jump.
mean, yeah, some of my
Yeah.
favorites are, of course, the culinary culture of colonial India. This particular article was amazing, as is the Delhi Darbar of 1911, which was such a momentous point in India's history and how we connect with the colonial past itself. In fact,
Yeah.
there are two articles, if you see, on the Delhi Darbar and how uh, uh, the artists of the time captured that. And there are so many elements that the teachers can bring into this whole argument of the nature of colonialism. And today when we talk about neo-colonialism, that how some of the developed countries often hold the developing nations almost at ransom in terms of the economic control that they may exert over those countries, especially with the whole debate over foreign investment into an economy, and whether a country should, especially if it's a developing economy, how much should they open up their economy to foreign investment, and how dependent does it make. So from a pure history, you can move into so many economics as well, because when you look at Indian economics, that's something that students study in grade 11 and 12. And when you look at the modern ways in which the world connects with each other, trades with each other, and it can give you a lot of context in terms of when we talk about international trade treaties and how they shape up, and why is it that some countries oppose certain kinds of trade treaties, why they want to dismantle if they have any tariff barriers, and the whole debate on globalization, that is globalization a good thing or a bad thing. So you can start the whole conversation from the Delhi Darbar, the epitome of colonial India. Sort of everything sort of comes in at that point. Delhi is now going to be the capital of the British Empire in India, and yeah, how that completely colors changes. Also, how the national movement would go forward from there. And of course, the culinary culture is an amazing one as well. We'll just pop in there and take a look.
Yeah. Considering that I'm have had absolutely no interaction with this website and also with history, as Sumedha is writing in the chat, she's getting excited to use these into the class. I
Absolutely.
think even as a non-history teacher, when I'm looking at it, I feel that it's something that every one of us can just read up just for the interest. And
And
the way it's been put across is very, very interesting.
And when you were
Lot of,
talking about Sumedha I know is also, deeply into SDG training with her students as well. And when I'm
hmm,
looking at culinary habits, I'm also thinking about, the various SDGs which connect with that: good health, zero hunger, responsible consumption, all of that. I mean, today when we talk about, eating exotic fruits, we constantly thinking about the carbon footprint. So if I want to eat a fruit or a vegetable which cannot be grown locally, in India, it has to be imported. I'm also looking at the size of my carbon footprint as well. So it's interesting to see how, uh, you know these paintings, these cookery books can be brought in. Why does Ayurveda suggest that we eat certain kinds of foods during certain times in the year, and how that ties in with sustainable living as well. And here you see, a Mem Sahib looking, inspecting the stores of the kitchen.
and this also speaks of lot of thought that has gone in curating all these resources together, because these are all images or stories that have been around, but to weave them all together and to present
Yeah.
them in a website like this and open it to the world, I think that
And
is
here you have
itself
a
an
cookery
achievement.
book. So those of you are interested,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
actually have a whole cookery book produced out here. So there are soups and fish and vegetables, pastries.
Hmm.
It's an old book. Let's see how old this is. This was published in 1880.
Wow.
Um, and this is adapted to the three presidencies. So it's an a practical handbook to the kitchens of India.
Amazing.
And look at every
Amazing.
department of Indian cookery, of beverages and medicinal and other recipes. So
Yeah.
it's amazing to, and by whom? A 35-year resident. So it's by a British person who's been living in India for 35 years, and what this person has learned, and the word tiffin. We said, have you brought your tiffin? Have you eaten your tiffin? Tiffin is actually not even an Indian word. It was derived from a
Hmm.
British slang, tiffing, which meant to take a swig of diluted liquor.
Oh. Amazing. Amazing.
And then Malingatoni soup. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. This also is an interesting dish from the colonial table. So it's not a native Indian dish,
Hmm.
but it's sort of, it's a meeting of the British culinary traditions with the Indian ones, and how new khichdi, for example, kejri. So when you read this article further, it's so much fun looking at it, and I'm definitely going to take some time off to look at that cookery book in its entirety.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is curry and rice on 40 plates. And look at this, the ingredients of social life. So how a cookery book can also give you a glimpse into the social life of the times. Let's see, how old is this one? uh, Year of publication. You can also listen to the book. So I like that part as well. So it makes it more accessible to people. Okay. We don't see the year. Perhaps somewhere else it's mentioned. Uh, but it is from a library again from, it was accessed into whatever library this was in 1968. But definitely
Ah.
it looks like an old one. So
Amazing.
those of
Amazing.
you who love to cook, these could be your way of bringing some historic dishes onto your table. So this is fun.
There is lots to
And
explore in this website.
actually,
Absolutely. There's no end to it.
absolutely.
In fact, each of these, so I've just looked at there's a tab on stories. So there is art stories, photo essays, and then
Mm.
there is art memes. So if you go
Yes,
to the main tab, oh, that's that sounds like very intriguing, to think
yes, it
about
is. It
art
is.
memes. So memes has been a real, what would say, the in thing, for our young learners as well. So they understand the memes, they understand the language of the memes. So if you're looking at, creating those memes
Yeah, it's
with
right the
art,
bottom of the page. Yeah. So there are a lot of GIFs as well, which have been created. So this is like one of the examples. If you would go to Jiffy and type in the Heritage Lab, they've got a bunch of GIFs that they've created as well. But let's look at creating art memes.
yeah, let's first look at the art memes, and then we can, because as Vibha is putting in the chat, she loved memes. So yes, here's another source for you, Vibha, and your students to create art memes. So you can pick the category and you can choose, what kind of memes you are looking for. So that seems to be an exciting
Yes,
one. So you
and
get an image and
right
make a
now,
caption.
yeah, you can make a caption here.
Hmm.
Um, Okay, I wonder what's happening here because last time I checked there were lots. Ah, there they are. So when you look at the bottom, one thing just to clarify for the audience that all of these works that you see here, these are now open access, which means you can reuse these
Hmm.
to create your memes. So, for example, here is an interesting painting and how students could be encouraged to create a meme out of this. There are plenty. I mean, if you can just keep going, this one is an interesting one, which I often use with my students when we talk about, non-wastage of food. Everyone knows Draupadi's story. She's there. The Pandavas are in Vanvas, are in the forest, and Draupadi has just wrapped up her kitchen for the day. And we have one of the rishis who arrives with 100 of his followers and says, "Well, we would love to have some lunch." And Draupadi is like, "Now, what am I going to do? I've got nothing left." And if I don't offer this rishi lunch, he's going to curse us. And she calls upon Krishna, and Krishna comes in and says, "Okay, let me see your patila of rice." So there's this one grain of rice stuck at the bottom of the patila. So Krishna takes that out and eats that and asks for a lota of water. And when he drinks that water, he belches loudly, and the rishi and all of his 100 followers who are at that time freshening up in the nearby river, suddenly their bellies fill up. So when you look at the story in its various layers, this is of course a story of a miracle, for example, but if you look deeper, it's also a message of don't waste food. Even that one grain of rice is probably enough to fill someone's stomach. So when we talk about SDGs and zero hunger, that's something. Food wastage is, I think, one of the biggest problems that we look at. Fresh food, especially foods with very low shelf life. Often we'll stuff our fridges with fruits and vegetables and then realize that they've gone bad. So how to plan your shopping as well for the week. So these are important things that one can learn. So taking up something like this, and the template is already there, you just start typing what you wish, and then of course you can change the text and change the colors to go with the whole idea, and then you can um, have them published, download them. This one's an interesting one as well. So just
So
go into the Heritage Lab and right at the bottom.
yeah,
Yeah,
and also at the top, also I found the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of our viewers the GIFs that I have found, and in the meanwhile, if Sanchita can try and reach out to Medhavi
yeah,
and
I'll do
figure
that.
out, where maybe there is a technical issue, and since there is so much wealth right now here in the website that even I, who have never explored this. Website can do on my own. So I'm going to go on a solo journey with that. And the moment Sanchita is able to get some information, we will bring that up. So take a look at what I found when I went into the Indian art, the Heritage Lab website, and then the stories. This is where you could find travel stories, and you're looking at all this interesting stuff coming in. And then you will also find some published memes. So this would be interesting to see. Even if you see some artwork, you want to get inspired, you can actually open up any one of these where somebody has already added in title and a remark. So here comes your bank balance, the unnecessary crap Amazon put on sale. So that's where it is, adding up to what you're looking at as a possibility here. So definitely there are immense possibilities. You can even download this image, you can recaption this meme. So maybe again, to bring up some kind of a activity in your class, one can think about making use of that. And right down at the end of this website, you will find IG stickers plus GIFs, which when you open up, it actually opens into the Jiffy, which I think most of us love when we are thinking about making use of GIFs in our slides and presentations. So you will find a lot of these GIFs, which are as good as, bringing your art and culture and various stories into your classroom. So you'll find lovely artwork here, which you can use. I think it really makes a novel way of bringing GIFs into our presentations and giving a very special touch to our presentation. So look at this and check out in terms of which one works for you. So there are right now 56 GIFs uploads have been done by heritagelab.in, and you can try them out and see which is most suitable for you. So there is definitely plenty as far as we look at here on this website. And I see Medhavi joining us, and we are going to bring her up.
I
Lovely,
invite.
Medhavi.
I'm so sorry. I have no clue how I got logged off. The internet is giving trouble, but I seem to have rattled on without understanding that everybody is not listening. So I'm so sorry
Oh,
for that.
never mind. We
And
have we
Happens,
have
happens.
we have been exploring the website on our own, and I found lovely stuff as well. So as I
thank
was telling
you.
everyone that we can all do this. So over to you. You want to continue with your presentation if you would like
Sure.
to share that.
Yes, I will just share my screen
So we
and
were looking at those paintings, the three miniature paintings, and we were going back on your slideshow. Yes.
right. So I'll go right back here.
Yeah.
And I know we already discussed memes, so I'm going to go right over and look at how we are creating, not just memes and all, but also looking at, zines, looking at web comics and different kinds of things. I'll also share another little hidden place where we have some of the works. These are about 104 gifts that have been created, but just to show you a platform for showcasing student work. These are, of course, made by people of all ages, but maybe when we look at just student specific work, it would be different galleries. So just give me a second. I have no clue why our internet has been so uh, not very kind today, but we just look at Gif It Up India, which was also an effort with DAG archives and museums, because a lot of artwork that they hold, a lot of these museums hold, is in the public domain, but they still don't have a license for the digital use of these artworks and images. And one of the core reasons for us to work with memes, gifs, and all of these different kind of derivatives is to make people aware, especially young people and students, because they are so digital first for everything, that they have to check the licenses for every image before using that. Is this something that they're going to use? So there are about 104 gifts over here. So for instance, this is made by someone who's in the under 18 category. This was made by someone in school, so you can actually just download it just simply by using a download button here. This is a way for us to showcase all our works in different galleries. So this is another place, and you'll find this under campaigns, under the Gif It Up campaign, where we also have some other art gifts, a little tutorial on how to make a GIF, which is something that I will share with you today. And if we have time, maybe we can even make one. But if we don't get to, then you always have something here. And I just meant to say that if you're searching for anything, the search bar is a great place to start. So if you're just going to say GIF, for instance, don't hit enter. But if you, as in just write GIF, it'll start to populate, give you the options. My internet is a little misbehaved today, so it's not. But this is where you'll find everything. Oh, it was starting to show up, I think. It's a little slow. No worries, we'll move ahead. Um, this actually has brought us to all of these initiatives, because they're connected with material that's open access, is why we actually introduced this separate website called THL Open Access. This was to bring all India related and India made artworks on one domain. I know that Sanchita ma'am has already taken you all through this in another presentation on an earlier occasion, so I will not repeat. But what I will do is show you something else here. So now we've also added explore by artists, explore by style. We will be adding explore by century and period, and different things. So keep looking back, keep checking here. But the integration here with Wikimedia is what makes this project really interesting. So, for instance, let's look at this particular image. This is a portrait of a woman in a chaktai hat, not much actually. So, let me just maybe pick up an image that we can actually work around. Let's go to kings and rulers, for instance, and see if there is something that I can use from here to share an example. So that seems to it's going to, I don't know which one to pick, but maybe if we just pick up one of the popular kings, so we have information. So okay, that's Akbar, so we can pick Akbar up. Maybe a lot of material in Akbar all the time. So now the thing is that there is this information here. It's a little descriptive information, just about what he's wearing and who he is, but not much over here. Uh, Really nothing. Why we have this integration is so that students can contribute to Wikipedia. Now, I understand that Wikipedia is something that everybody can edit, everybody can contribute to. So, it all the more is a reason for us to make it more resource heavy. I mean, actually give right citations, give more information so that it's actually usable by a wider variety of people. So, let's say that we look at the details of this. Reach this page on Wikipedia. Now, the thing is that if someone's searching Akbar, they may or may not come across this particular image. A, because the caption is in Dutch, and second, because there is no caption in English, and there's hardly any information here. So with students, is one of the things that we do is actually have them write these captions as to what this file represents. A lot of the times you'll see that a painting represents a battle scene. In fact, let me actually quickly show you one of the battle scenes, the Golconda. Let me just check if it's something that we can find in search quickly. Yeah, so Aurangzeb at the siege of Golconda, for instance. This is a historical episode being represented in a painting, right? So if we can download the high-res image right here, but let's look at the details and what kind of edits that we can make to it actually. So there is a bit of description here that Golconda was famous for this and this is what happened. But again, no explanation here. So if we add an explanation that Aurangzeb is sitting on a palanquin while his soldiers are at the back, and at the very end you see the fort of Golconda. The interesting thing is that one can actually add this in any language, including, say, Hindi. So it becomes very important for especially schools and students who might be accessing this resource, who do not use English as their main language of instruction. So it just sort of opens up the resource for a wider variety of educators and students, a diverse audience really, by adding, in descriptions that are in different languages. And of course, there is structured data, but all of this is basically, uh, you know, actual digital skills, instruction based courses that are given out to teachers and students so that these are used effectively in the classroom. So, for instance, items portrayed in this file, these little things, like if you write Golconda Fort over here, let me just put it here. So, for instance, it's already got a page. So, it will actually connect to that page. So, that's why it becomes very important. I'm not adding this right now because then it will save the change. But one of the things I have my students always look at doing is check the file usage on Commons. So, when you check file usage on Commons, it actually tells you where it's been used. There are no pages that use this particular file. So then it tells us that maybe we should go to the Siege of Golconda page and actually put it over there. So those are the kind of things that we do. We'll actually go to Wikipedia, go to the article that talks about the siege, and then add the image there. So that's what students sometimes do if they're not comfortable with editing, illustrate the particular article. Um, and this is what sort of brings me to one of the campaigns that we worked with school students. This was a very interesting project, and I'm really excited to share this because it's the first time I was actually experimenting with this tool. What I realized was that children, students, and this is grade 8 to 10 that I was working with as part of the Heritage Club. And while students are very excited about creating charts and presentations, they love using the computer lab. They love using a digital source. So we thought that for the senior students, the grade 10 students, this is a project on the Grand Trunk Road. We picked up the Grand Trunk Road as a theme and decided to identify the different monuments, different important episodes, people, everything associated with that particular road and make a project out of it. So when we looked at monuments, we started to realize that a lot of these monuments are not on Wikipedia, and Philor Fort was one of them. Let me actually take you to Philor Fort. And the Wikipedia article on it. That would be the first search result on Google, and that's the beauty about contributing to Wikipedia, making it part of your classroom, that students actually start to see their work in a real space that they in future will engage in. So if you see the history over here, this is a project that this is Harleen, and this was in 2019 that this page was created. And over 2 years, there are countless others who've contributed, edited, made changes. So as a student, she's able to see how her work has shaped up. But just some things as to why this project is great. So when you create a page that does not exist, it's even more challenging, because you have to put the information in the format right from the very beginning. So aside from that learning, it teaches you to refer to different sources, but also know which sources are credible, which ones you're likely to pick up. Because otherwise, when you write Philor Fort, the internet throws up several thousands of different results. Which ones are important to an article such as this? Which ones are credible? Which ones have been written by, maybe the tourism department or someone who we can trust? So identifying and knowing that this is credible is what one of the 21st century skills ought to be, is actually also, right? So this is what we learned in this classroom. And then of course there's a skill of writing, paraphrasing in English, because you cannot copy paste on Wikipedia, otherwise you get flagged for plagiarism. So you always have to paraphrase the information. It cannot be personal. You cannot write from a personal opinion point of view, and you always have to give citations. You've written this paragraph, but where did you get this information from? So you learn how to cite, you learn how to give these different sources, and you learn how to look for different images that might be open access and then add them to here also. So you actually add something that already exists on the internet, but actually keeping it here also. The feedback we received from the school on this project was excellent because this was completely new. So ever since 2019 and 2020 didn't give us much of an opportunity, but this is something that the Heritage Lab is greatly inspired by and looking forward to doing more of, because when students are involved in the creation and they understand they're contributing, they also understand the meaning and value of providing free knowledge resources in a world where everything is locked by paywalls, right? So this is in that spirit of sharing education. So that's one of the projects that we really had a great time curating and working with. And there are different themes. So, for instance, during Women's History Month, we often encourage students to, teachers especially, to look into their classrooms, because this is also always like an adult run project in a way, as to look deeper into a theme or a unit of their history lesson and see who is represented in their history textbooks, who is not, how many women are being talked about in their history textbooks, say, to even to do with 20th century politics, for instance. And do they all have Wikipedia pages or not? It's also in a way that when you type something on Google, you realized, all of you saw that Wikipedia was the first result that came up. If it was not, you may not spend so much time doing your own research or looking through 10 different pages. You don't even know which one to look at then. So it's also about representation in the internet, and the internet that we're all part of today. So that's a campaign that we do in March, and that's when students are really encouraged to look at, edit Wikipedia and work with it. But enough of that. Maybe if we ever create something, so that's the studio part, and we like to create things. In case teachers are interested, maybe you want to follow this, but if this is not possible at this moment because of the paucity of time, I completely understand. But I can take you through a little bit of how we make those nice gifts that you saw. So each GIF is actually multiple frames. So it's a frame of, this particular one would be made up of several thousands of frames. But this is a simple one in which nothing is moving except the eyes are moving a little bit. And here are some resources and links that we use. I will share the link to this presentation. So I think it'll anyway be available to everybody. But I did keep some images aside just to show you how we do these little things. So let me take you to one of my favorite ones. This is how we actually began to create some of these GIFs and memes. It's called cartoon.photo. This is what we use everywhere, literally sometimes. Let me select a photo. I've actually put across some for today's presentation, so that research is already done. But otherwise, looking through images itself is such an interesting task. So I'm going to choose a very interesting figure. I'm choosing Mastani. Bajirao Mastani fame, yes. But also, interestingly, this painting is at different museums. I'm just going to remove the cartoon effect and keep it to face morphing. And we'll wait for it to do its magic. So interestingly, different museums have her as, just the label reads courtesan, does not have her name or anything. And this particular image is in different collections. So here you can actually see which emotions you would want her to sort of look at. So I'll just zoom into my screen a little so you can all see. But right now she's just raising her eyebrows, and maybe I'll just add a little wink there, and then it'll sort of do its own thing again. And there you go. Now, what you could do is you could actually just have your students, you can actually just save this and then use any other platform like, say, a Canva, a meme maker, anywhere really, or a Giphy even, to add effects to it. So then it becomes even more interesting. Let me download it. It's downloading, and it'll take a bit of time, I think, because today is the day our internet decided to be nice to us. But Giphy is another platform, as is Pixlr and Canva. Now, Canva is a tool that we use to just remove the background. We don't really use it for making GIFs, but maybe sometimes adding text effects to the stickers that you see on Instagram or the Giphy channel. The idea is that this is everyday conversation, and our figures from history, from art, should be part of it. It has to be more mainstream so that it's more exciting to students. Many a times you can actually say a lot of these things using these characters also. So let me just see if it's still saved or if it's still saving. But if it doesn't, we all by now know it's cartoon.photo. It's still, I think, downloading. But in the meantime, let me take you to some other source over here. Let's go to Giphy. And let me just put something when we create. Now, Giphy gives us the option not just to make something based on different frames, but let's say that let me actually pull some images onto the presentation so it's faster for you to see these images. So on Canva, for instance, we do something as simple as removing the background, like one, right? So we just pick up a painting from one of our THL open sources and just remove the background, like from here, just remove the color. And then you can have any text, like "you go girl" is what we used to say that women are leading things, or they're putting on that act of putting on the turban, which leads to the discussion about women and how they are represented in those era, particularly in the paintings of that era, their costumes. Noor Jahan dressed up as a man, for instance, in this painting, where she holds a musket and a gun. There are different conversations that these little gifts and representations can spark. Um, so we use this on Giphy. So let's say that we want to make a GIF. So we can choose this one for now.
So as you're showing us all of this, Medhavi, I'm just thinking that if I were to just give a glimpse of this to my students in the class, I think that they can pick up the tempo and do some amazing work themselves. I mean, as you correctly said, that it's digital first generation now, and you present them with a problem, and the first things they will think of is how can we use digital resources to fix
Right.
those problems, to look for those solutions.
Right, absolutely. I'm just going to have to log into our account. So just give me a moment. I never remember our password. Oh, this is trouble. I should have kept this logged on. But just to say that Giphy would give you a way to add different stickers and everything. But just give me a moment. Let me stop sharing my screen for a moment and just
Yeah, and Chandan Jha sir is here, and he's right that of course we can not only us, we can create some maze. I mean, there are of course some ready jiffies for us already by the Heritage Lab. We can use those, and I sometimes pop in something onto my presentations if it's appropriate and goes with what I'm doing with my students that day. And Medhavi has been working with students, and as she showed you a little earlier on, that image with those five ladies, it was created by someone who's under 18, so students can actually also go in and create some amazing stuff with the resources that are available.
And here we're just doing this again, and now we should be able to. So here we are. So now that we have this, we can actually, so Giphy has some set of stickers also. So in case I was creating a sticker and not a GIF, then it would be different. Sorry, this image is not as cleaned up, but just to give you an idea, let's look for maybe I don't know. This is the creative part, right? So maybe we have stars and see what comes up. So maybe we add like a sprinkler here and just click on it, and it will just add a little sprinkler around. So just select the one that you really like, and there it is. So it'll just, you can increase the size of it, and it'll just do its little thing here. I haven't chosen the best, but maybe I should use something else. Yeah, So maybe this is a good idea and this is not a good idea. So I can just simply delete this, and maybe I like it like this. So just have students play around with it, add in things and give it a little caption maybe that says, and give it a little outline, or however you want it. You want it to look like that. Just it has to look fine, and maybe add a little sparkle. So there are different things that you can really do with it. If you want to add another image, for instance, it'll add 2 3 images that if you want to add, for instance, I can actually show you something else. So if I'm creating a GIF, I can actually add in 2 3 different images. So let me put this lady create this one. They're actually the same image, but they both have they're both like applying an eyeliner. There's one of those old sculptures, right? So you can add one more image, and I can set the duration here. Maybe I want it to be just 3 seconds, and I want to add one more, maybe this one. And so you see, it just sort of moves. So you can give this also a certain duration that you want to make it faster, quicker, right? And we can continue to decorate this and just add stickers, maybe uh, think about something to do. This is the part that students have most fun with. That what are they supposed to add to this? Should they add sparkle? Should they add? Where do they imagine this to be? Should this be at a birthday party? Should this be at a museum? Where should this really be? So it actually is just about positioning the image as well, and then giving it a clever caption and a text that I just showed you, and then just go with it, and it creates the GIF for you. And of course, when we're creating the GIF, it will also ask you for tags, etc. So again, students learn as to how they want this to be searchable. So should I write getting ready? That could be a tag, or um,
Naika, perhaps. I mean,
but how
yeah.
many people are searching with the term Naika? That's also something that if you're making it mainstream, how many people are searching
How
it?
many people will be? Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to do that. Like Naika, like the brand. Maybe then it'll show up. But yeah, if you write Shringara or Shringaras, those are more themes that are related to the industry. So those are great. But then there also have to be early morning ones. So that's just, I'm not going to go and upload this right now. But you can also give it a rating, whether it's safe for everybody to use, and all of that also. So those are just like little ways in which you can create a GIF, but also to share pixel or something like that. It These are pixel again is a free software for anybody who cannot afford or does not have access to say a fancy thing like Photoshop, for instance. And again, if we choose a simple image like this, let me just see this is easy, where the background is something you can just remove on Canva and then just bring the lady over here, and then you can actually give her something to hold. If we actually just see this in Giphy also, for instance, um, we can actually give her something to hold over there also, like a rose or an umbrella, anything that you want her to hold. But that's a notch girl, right? So does she have some kind of a prop that she's holding? In any case, it's easy to work with this if you already have someone in your school who has background in Photoshop, etc. So they actually sort of train students better. But I'm just going to duplicate this. And just to say that one of the things I can do is flip this, right? And then save both the images. And it'll do exactly what that particular image was doing a little while ago with the Kajal application. So she'll actually just dance on both sides. So it'll literally be like this. So that's the GIF that it'll create. But one can actually also remove her hand from here. And to do that, in complicated paintings, it's difficult. it's really difficult to do that. But easy paintings like this one, I'm just going to zoom in a little, not too much. But if, for instance, you just want to move her hand, so just good to cut out this part and keep this. I should, so you know that this is what I have kept. And now let's switch on the background image, which we had reversed here. So let's do that. Now you see that this is the part that we have. So what we now actually need to just do is ensure that we flip this. But now that we've done this, we also have to see that we do it in a way that it looks as a natural movement of her hand and it's not broken this way. But that sort of comes with some sizing and some things that we will have to this is easy right now because it's the background is plain, but if the background was not plain, then we would have had a terrible time removing the background, erasing it at the back, and now somehow magically her hand is joined again, and there we go. I think we've done a decent job here somehow. But to remove this, so we'll actually have to remove and erase this part. So one actually has to just move this and then use the eraser tool to ensure that this, to ensure that this part is removed and is not posing any big problem for us. And then we can bring this one back. But it has to be just, it's a bit of a thing on how we are using this tool, and
Yeah, a little bit fiddly, yeah, but
just like fiddle with it, ensure that the colors are fine and not doing too much. So
yeah, in fact, I know already of students who are using pixel art, and these are great ideas that to get them to interact with art, how
yeah,
to identify the correct kind of art to also modify and make some fun elements out of them. So
yeah,
as Sumedha also pointed out, that it's an amazing way to also integrate art into pedagogy. I mean, that's something that has been also happening now, where we look at art integrated learning and across subjects. So definitely, these are amazing ideas that you've brought in today, Medhavi. And my head is buzzing, and I know what I'm going to tell to my students Monday when I meet them. The stuff that I've learned today, and yeah, so that's super amazing. And if there are any questions, from our viewers, so far there are no questions. I think everyone's just too excited with what they've just
Yeah.
seen.
I hope it was helpful, really, because I just wanted to introduce you to these different tools. I'm sure a lot of you are already using these, but always good to see how different intersections we can sort of work together and explore more within this field.
I think
Absolutely.
everybody
And
is excited to look at it. I see Sumedha and Chandan both are saying, well, definitely this will bring more excitement in the class to get students create memes and GIFs.
and I was also
Yeah.
thinking about subjects that could use something like that.
Hmm.
And I think this does not have to be just specifically history or social science. I think any subject, and especially if you look at it from the theme of art, for instance, or maybe something as simple as how would body parts move. Younger children would, when you're looking at joints, at hinge joints, and what ball and socket joints and things like that. And I'm sure the science teacher, biology teachers can bring in some element there and get the kids to, pick up maybe a painting of an individual and say, okay, how would those joints move? So would that make a full circle, or is it just a single way movement of things? So I'm just thinking of the different subjects and how they could be using fun elements like this to really explode learning within the classroom, and not just subject specific, but also a much more rounded way of understanding the world around us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's always nice when students start off early, because sometimes I start to think I should just make gifts all day. And I wish I could have made a career out of just making gifts. But it's what if students start early? They know at least what they just want to make gifts. But
So, Medhavi, do tell us if there are teachers who'd like to reach out to you to perhaps set up sessions with their students. I mean, how does one go about that?
So I am right here at the Heritage Lab's email address, which is medhavi at theheritagelab.in, or Twitter. I'm reachable at Medhavi Gandhi. But whenever you reach out, we always sort of work with schools to understand which module you're looking at, what the class has already learned, how we can connect the curriculum. So, for instance, one of the most recent workshops have just wrapped up. In October, we did a whole series on playing cards and how playing cards can be an interesting tool in exploring history. Just the design of the playing card connecting to the French, to the British, the French and the British wars, how the design that we play with today came to being actually the 20th century India specific playing cards. So much to explore there. But just to know that if a particular essay sparks interest in a teaching within a teaching community or within a school, we work on creating a module with it. Or if you just want us to do a session, we're happy to do just a session. Also with the school, so different formats there to explore. But at any point, we're reachable at theheritagelab@gmail.com or Medhavi at theheritagelab.in. So thank you so much. In case you want to reach out, just please feel free to.
Thanks,
Wonderful.
Medhavi. Sangeeta ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Medhavi. I can see Chandan Jha, who's a science teacher. He's saying that he's definitely planning to use it in his science classroom. And as I had put in the chat earlier, for our viewers and those who will be watching the recording later, if you do follow up, which I think some of you will be excited to try this, then do share the GIFs. Again, GIFs and GIFs, there's always a struggle between which team you are in. So I'm used to calling it GIF. I noticed Medhavi calls it GIF. Well, one and the same. Never mind what you call it as. But
A rose
yes,
is just as sweet
yeah.
smelling.
So if you do create one, then do tag the Heritage Lab, do tag GEG DelhiNCR, tag Medhavi, so that we get to see your work, and we'll see how you're using it with your students and in your classroom. I think let the students create, that would be a wonderful thing. So just demonstrate to them, just show them just the link perhaps, and they will be at it. I also saw a note from Briona Sangvi, could be Krupali or Krupali's daughter, who's put this note that she's learned a totally new concept today. So I know we have a talent there as well, who is very excited with new ideas, and I'm sure she will also follow up and create something, and we will get to see some more exciting work coming in.
Absolutely. And in case your students are creating something, we are happy to showcase it. Please let us know. We put it up on the website for like a separate section for people to enjoy, download, and further use maybe. Yeah.
Perfect. That's great.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you. It was wonderful to have you, and we have, of course, all of us have learned new things, and it's been an exciting session. We'll go back and watch again step by step what you showed. I have shared the links for one website that I had not explored earlier was cartoon.photo, right? That is something which I had not checked earlier. So that made it very interesting. You have to get that effect of the eyeballs moving or a wink happening. So that's something definitely exciting for us to learn with. So there's always something new to learn, and that's the whole idea of having these sessions, to get everybody who's possibly watching us live or the recording later get inspired and try out some new ideas in their classroom. So thank you so much, Medhavi, from the team of GEG DelhiNCR, for joining us today. And so, Sanchita, any other last words, or shall we do a wrap up now?
Let's do our wrap up, because yes, I think we lost track of time. We usually do a 1 hour session, but we are almost, I mean, way beyond 1 hour, but not a moment that was boring. So yeah, and that's how learning should be, that you lose track of time, and you're so engrossed in what you're seeing, what you're doing, and what you're learning along the way. So thank you so much, Medhavi. We've been wanting to do this for a while, and it happened today.
Yeah, and again, I'm sorry for the bad internet connection, but also very thankful for you to just pick it up from where I left it. So thank you so much for having my back on that.
Perfect. Thank you. And thanks to all our viewers who stayed with us and have continued to enjoy and interact in the chat. And also the viewers who will be watching the recording, do let us know how you are going to use these resources and share with us on our socials so that we can celebrate with you. So till our next session, which is going to happen, most probably the next session will be on February 12th, which is going to be a GEG APAC monthly session on hybrid teaching. So we are going to bring that session on February 12th. So stay tuned for more announcements and more learning coming together with GEG Delhi NCR. So till then, bye to everyone. Stay well, stay safe.